How do shelter-in-place laws legally impact your rights? Imagine being told you have to stay inside your home for days or even weeks. Sounds simple, but it actually touches on some interesting legal questions about your personal freedoms. When authorities issue shelter-in-place orders during emergencies like pandemics or natural disasters, they are asking people to stay put unless they have a good reason. These orders are meant to protect public health and safety, but they do limit some of your rights temporarily. Legally, they are based on what is called police power, which allows governments to restrict individual freedoms to keep everyone safe. Your right to move freely is affected because you cannot just leave your house whenever you want. You are only allowed to go out for essential reasons like buying food, getting medical care, or going to work if your job is considered critical. The definition of what counts as essential can change from state to state or even city to city, but usually includes things like health care, food supply, and emergency services. You also cannot gather in large groups or travel beyond the limits set by the order. If you do, you risk fines or other penalties, which law enforcement agencies can enforce. Most shelter-in-place rules include exceptions for essential workers and activities. For example, healthcare providers, grocery store employees, and emergency responders can still do their jobs. These orders are meant to be temporary and are often tied to how severe the emergency is. They might cover a city, a county, or an entire state, depending on the situation. Courts generally uphold these orders if they are reasonable, non-discriminatory, and only in place for a limited time. When you look at some of the weirdest state laws, you find that shelter-in-place orders can sometimes have unusual details. Some states have listed very specific rules about what is considered essential, including quirky items or activities. Others have added curfews or travel bans that seem very strict or oddly detailed compared to normal life. Tribal nations also have their own rules, which can include unique provisions reflecting their governance and cultural priorities. In practical terms, these laws mean you must stay home unless you have a legally recognized reason to leave. You need to follow public health directives and stay within the boundaries set by authorities. While they do limit some of your personal freedoms temporarily, the goal is to protect the community during a crisis. The variations across different states and tribes show how local legal traditions and priorities influence these rules. So, in the end, shelter-in-place laws are a balancing act, protecting everyone while temporarily restricting some individual rights.